Hello. On today, on Monday, it's Cheryl Anderson here. And as you would see in the description, there's no topic today because I can't think of one to do today. As I've said in other videos, I wait until the day, or sometimes a half an hour before, sometimes 2 hours before, to come up with the topic for the live video, you see. So because I only really want to talk about something that I can connect with vibrationally and talk about, so it comes from my heart and my moment in the present, okay? But really today, we had a tradesman come and I wasn't sure when he was coming, and okay, because there's not many places I can do these videos in my unit, as weird as it is, it's too much light, not enough light, too noisy. So anyway, oh, hi Miguel, how are you? Oh. So today was a really unusual one. I kept thinking something would come to mind and I'd speak about that, but as it turned out, today is a no topic day. So I'll either speak for the next 15 seconds or maybe a couple of minutes, but I'm a bit stuck for topics today. It's a beautiful day here, I must say, though, in Scarborough, Queensland, Australia. Absolutely beautiful. You can hear the crows. Doing their flyby. Gotta love them. And look, maybe I think the one thing I would always hone in on, hi Scott, is really the basics of life. Is probably it when things get confusing or too much for me. If I'm having a day of overload, I'll just go to what I think the basics are in my life, because overload comes from too many diverging thoughts and too many competing ideas that we have. So we can come up with mental confusion, and it's like being in a little rowboat and you're not far from shore, but yet the more and more your thoughts go off uncontrolled to different things. Maybe it might be a show you watched on telly. It could be a neighbour that's, being a bit tough to deal with. Could be something at home, could be something at work. It's easy to get pulled away from your core values or your, how you live, your basics that you live by. So that imagine you're in a little rowboat, and at every new drama that comes up moves you 10 foot away from the shore, and another 10 foot and another 10 foot. Well, the whole time you're thinking you're only a few feet from the shore, yet when you look up and you take stock of what's going on, you realize you nearly can't even see land. So it's really, really easy to get caught up and led away from the thoughts and beliefs that we have in ourselves. Hello, Mr. Crow, arcing out there. So the basics for me are always going to be patience. For me is a very, very big one, very big. Because a lot of things I would do, I was very impatient with myself, very impatient. I used to not like myself at all, so I was really hard on myself. But so now, in me learning to be who I am nowadays, there was a huge, huge, huge measure of patience, which then was followed really quickly by kindness, because everybody hides dramas or hides their thoughts or hides who they are or hides or what we think are our failures or our shortcomings, because we've been taught if it doesn't fit this perfect little picture that we see on television or magazines or billboards, if it doesn't fit that, then you're not normal, or you're not good enough, or you're not, insert whatever word here, enough. So we are creatures of habit, and we are creatures of group, community. So we don't want to do things that are going to push us out of the community or make us less desirable. Not sexually either. I mean, less desirable as a person. You know, like, are you going to be someone people enjoy to be being around? You're not too high maintenance, that sort of thing. Hello, Tony. So with the mainstream media dictating to everybody what the norm is or what your norm should be, all right? And this has been going on for years and years and years and years and years, right? It happened to our parents and their parents and their parents and their parents. So there's no one generation that this all started with, but it has snowballed to a point where now all of the generations that are on planet Earth, not just Gen X or Gen Y or Gen Z, all of us, every single breathing human on the planet is affected by this to some degree. Some not so much. Myself, I don't watch mainstream television. I don't listen to the radio. Oh, I do listen to a 4KQ here and there because it's good 70s music, and really, what's better than the 70s music, really? Okay, there are other bits of music that are good. But a lot of the control and a lot of the division that happens on this planet that creates a feeling of where we're not comfortable or we're not at ease with who we are, with our authentic self, our broken, weird, you know, funky selves. We're not like the, like for women, we're not like the girl in the Dove ad on telly or the lipstick ad or the, you know, the flowing hair ad or whatever. I mean, it's all just such BS. BS. So if, for me, going back to grounding myself, what are my things that I, you know, if I'm having a day, like today, where I just couldn't find a topic to talk about, that getting myself back to a place of where I recognize who I am, all right, you know, by the way of how I'm feeling, what my vibration is like. And even if I look in the mirror, I want to see happy Cheryl, you know, and I know when she's not happy, but it just is a glance, you can tell. So patience and kindness was absolutely paramount for me. And I think it's paramount for the planet right now. Ellen DeGeneres talks about, you know, being kind. Kindness is, you can never underestimate it. You can never underestimate the power it has in, for you, for kindness to the self, which is so easy to blow off, especially for women. We're usually so dealing with everybody else, trying to make everybody else feel good and happy, and that we just totally disregard or forget or ignore or feel that we're not worthy of us getting that same kindness. Now, I said this in a previous video. There was a study done in one of the was it Cambridge Uni? Anyway, one of the big universities, where what they did, they hooked up people to, you know, with the brain, not monitors, you know, they put the little wires on, and can't think of it. And what they did was they were monitoring the brain waves, the brain activity of someone giving an act of kindness, someone receiving an act of kindness, someone viewing the act of kindness, right? Now, I'd never even thought about the third person ever until I read this in New Scientist, maybe, I don't know, 15 years ago now. So, of course, you expect the readings to be high. You would think they would be the highest for the person receiving the act of kindness, right? Whatever it is. It could be, you know, helping someone with their groceries into their car. It could be helping someone with $10 when they just got no petrol and they just need to get to work because payday's tonight. It could be something, a really huge gesture, all right? Doesn't matter. An act of kindness, it is not about the size of the act of kindness. It's in the act itself, okay? So I always thought that the person receiving it would have the highest readings, or again, I'm a bit lost for the words today. So when they tested them, in fact, it went this way. It went from the person giving the act of kindness and the person receiving. They were very, very similar, yet the person giving was the one that was just that microtely higher. But yet what stunned everybody was there was much more brain activity in the viewer, in the observer, in the person watching the act of kindness. They weren't even part of it, which I know this is obviously because of there was no reciprocal thing going on. There was no, oh, you're doing something for me, I need to do something for you. A lot of us get a bit weirded out when someone does something for us. We feel we need to do something back. It's this reciprocal thing that goes on, and it takes a lot to learn to accept things from people, whether they be gifts or acts of kindness or help. Do you know what I mean? We get so geared up in trying to be tough and also in to protect ourselves from the world that we want to stand alone, so we don't need anybody else's help. I can do this on my own. So then I won't need, no one can come and screw me over. So in viewing the act of kindness, I think part of it is because there's nothing required of that person. They're simply in that zone in the head where you're an observer, you're viewing. So in seeing that, going back to what I was saying about acts of kindness for the self and being kind to the self, it's so important. I mean, it changes the brain chemistry, and this is really worth YouTubing and having a look at. I don't do it justice. It's much better. There's a little like a little video that goes with it, and it's really cool. But depending how you're feeling, right, which is, it all starts with a thought, right? Like I say, nothing happens before a thought. Nothing can happen before a thought, all right? So in the having the thought rather, see, my brain's jumping now back to that. Did I say that? Should I add that? Hi, Fire. How you doing? Thanks for joining. I'm just going to keep talking. I'll come back to what it was, I'm sure. So pretty good for a day when I had no topic at all. So in connection with myself, staying connected to myself is 1, being patient, 2, being kind, and 3, I just think about what's happening while I'm breathing. It's very, very simple. I know it's so simple. We live in a world with so much confusion and drama and idiot politicians and idiots in business and corporations, and there's just so many tosses on the planet, that it's anyway. Again, I've just gone off track again. See, normally I would type up a description for what I'm talking about, and in doing that, it helps me, get all my ideas into one, and up comes the video. But today it's not like that. Yes, in the moment where we breathe. Because every single thing in your life happened where you were breathing, where you were taking breath. Everything you've eaten in your life happened in the moment where you were taking a breath. Holidays, fun moments, sad moments, catastrophic moments. Oh, hi, Kaz. How you doing, girl? Every single thing in your memory, well, not everything, because memories are a weird thing. Everything was done in the moment, which is where you draw breath. That's the only place you have any power. It's the only place you have any creative avenue, all right? Because like I've said in other videos, science will tell you there is no such thing as the past or the future. They're just simply, the past is great because it helps us all understand a flow of time. So we can recount stories, we can recall the past, we can discuss history, because we understand it in incremental moments, usually in time, is the way that we look backwards. And forwards is, it's just make-believe, actually. If all you can do is just plan for the future instead of imagining it, and just plan instead, like next week I've got to go to the doctors. Well, then you plan, you put it in your diary. But That's as far as we should go with any interaction into the future at all, because it's so dangerous. Holy God, moly, it's dangerous there. You put yourself into the future and you will start to freak out every time. You might go in thinking something great, and mark my words, you watch yourself, you do this. You might go on thinking about, oh, I'd love a holiday. Oh, I want to go to, I don't know, wherever. Like, where do I want to go? On a cruise through up into Canada. I'd love it. I think it'd be beautiful. That's great for a split second, because you start thinking about it, and here's what happens. You don't belong thinking about that, right? Your brain doesn't know what to do with that because it's not here. It knows what to do with here, where you're breathing. But it's within moments, within seconds, or half a minute, maybe 5, your thoughts go to something totally different, and that won't be one of joy, and it won't be one where you feel good either. It always leads you to the freak out, because you can't live in the future. So your brain finds it hard to understand, what are we trying to do here in the future? Yet in here, right, it's just in our thoughts. So it's trying to understand what this future is when your brain really only understands what to do in the now, where you're taking a breath, okay? So in staying here and understanding, and this is great for kids to know too, because if you come up to something that upsets you, all right, whatever it is, you know, I mean, you don't want to wait till you get home to start to think about it. You do it where you've got breath, which is like, okay, I'm upset. What am I going to do? Right, for a start, I'm just going to, because breathing, that's not just breathing because people do it in the movies. Breathing has an extremely amazing effect on the body. Well, one, if you're not breathing, then you're dead. So that's a big indicator as why breath is so important and why breathing correctly is so important. I mean, even I remember a story. It was a group of people that were working with street people in New York. I really don't remember much of the story at all. I just remember they weren't funded by anybody. They were in dangerous situations. I think they might have been somehow skilled. They weren't like paramedics or anything like that. But they knew one thing when people were freaking out, drug addicts or having fights or all of this, that what they did to slow people down and calm them down the quickest was to draw your breath in through your mouth with your mouth open and to run the air over your tongue. Now, I really wish I could remember the statistics of this, but there's something about the air passing in, cooling the tongue, that talks to the brain and lowers the blood pressure. Go figure. Something as simple as that. So we know about, you know, breathing deeply, bring it in, let it out. Our body needs oxygen, okay? So in the moment, we can deal with stuff. So, you know, you're upset. Oh, something's really upset me. It's in the moment. So you stop, you take breaths, you deal with it in the moment, right? So the moment is the only place that we can live. Yet we're constantly bombarded with ideas and values and competition and comparison, especially for women. There's a lot of comparison shoved in our faces. Well, do you look like this? Are you as good as that? What about you? You would be happier if you looked like her, or you were doing that. The moment when somebody asked me a long time ago, what would you tell your younger self if you could speak to them? And I remember thinking, oh God, I don't know. I would have a big long list of things. It wasn't succinct. And I always thought, I don't even know what I would tell my younger self, like a word of wisdom. And then when I started to understand the moment and what it really meant, that's when I started to understand the power of staying in the moment. But I also understood why mainstream media, the big, let's just call it like the media giant, because it likes to control us, keep us in a state of fear and guilt. And if you can pull people away from the present, well, then they're in that zone where they're not comfortable. They can't deal with stuff. They can't, like I said, if you're in the past or the future, you can't do anything there. You are just impotent. There's nothing you can do there, nothing you can gain. Unless in the past you're discussing history or you're discussing an event with somebody, fine. But you can't keep going back there and hammering yourself over a bad decision or being angry at somebody that did something to you. That sort of stuff is just rubbish and it's just a waste of time. You might as well I don't know, go and bang your head on a wall. But going back to if I could speak to my younger self, I know what I would tell her now. How fantastic's that? Well, I don't know. I mustn't have met her yet. Otherwise, my current life would be different, right? Wouldn't it? No. Anyway, I would simply say, get used to the moment, live in the moment, become very, very good friends with the moment, and be very, very choosy about who and what draws you away from the moment. Like there are times, it's very difficult to stay in the moment all the time. You just can't do it. Because, well, we can eventually, you can train your mind to be there more often. But if that's if it's your normal go-to, it's my go-to. So I know, I catch myself hundreds of times during the day, wandering off into something and I'm back again in the moment. So I would just say to her, if you can just stay in the moment. So when you're 15 and all your friends are like being wankers and, as you do when you're young, dumb friends, if you're living in the moment, you might still do dumb things, but you would have a different way of looking at everything because you would have been in the moment, been conscious in the moment. So that was really nice when I realised that I only needed one tiny bit of sage advice for my younger self. And look, really, I often talk about the moment because it's grossly underutilized and it's very rarely spoken about or encouraged. Mainstream media will not encourage any great behaviour, any long-lasting positive things for you. Yes, there are little shows here and there's some great documentaries, and I like renovation shows, home reno shows. There's some great stuff on telly, but the majority is not designed for your enlightenment. It is designed for your captivity, for the captivity of here, all right? Because once you can control someone's mind, you got them. That's it. So that's why fear and guilt work so well in keeping people away from the moment and in a state where they're constantly feeling bad and down. So you feel crap and your vibration's low. That's a really difficult place to spring back up from, right? And they know that. So in being able to find just a few things of a day, like when you're in that moment where everything is just too much, it's chaotic, it could be whatever, kids, too much on your to-do list for the day. I don't know, you could be planning a wedding, something like that. If you have your go-to, which could be 3 or 5 different things, like to me, it's like I said, patience, kindness. What's happening in the moment, Cheryl? Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. What does it feel like? Like, what does my left butt cheek feel like? You have to go, and it really makes you think. You're so in the moment. You're right there. You're connecting with your body. What does your elbow feel like? What does your little toe feel like? Without moving these things and without touching them. You know? So it's a strange and weird little thing. But boy, I tell you what, it draws you back to the power of you and you as a human, right? I mean, because you're not just meant to be here plodding along, bumping into walls, scratching your ass, earning money, come home, spend your money, go back to work. That cycle is just absolutely ridiculous. And yes, we do it. And yes, it is part of how our society has grown. But, there's no one thing saying, this is how you have to be, you're human, and this is it. Pish posh. It's not at all. We can do whatever we want. However, the change will always come when people change, not governments. Well, let's just call governments corporations for now, because that's what they are. It's when we change. It's when we understand ourselves better. We have so much power. I think the human heart has enough power. It was something crazy, like you could run. I wish I could remember the details. It was like light up a small building for, I don't know, 5 minutes or something. I mean, this is out of your heart, for God's sake. Really? So the stuff we have is massive. It's just sort of like, if it went off, it'd be an atomic bomb of fantastic. Imagine that. And we would just, but anyway, just for the sources of this video, and so much for a no topic today as we chat around no topic. So that's my chat today. Thank everybody for coming in. It's really lovely. For the chat about nothing. So yeah, like I said, these things, I think all my videos are about stuff that has to do with the mind, the heart, the soul, and for women, just for us as females, all right, our entire bodies, our minds, and everything. We're a whole unexplored arena. We're an unexplored, or we weren't allowed to be known, let's say. So there's a lot of new science coming out now that's helping us understand ourselves a lot better. Hi, Donna. How you doing? So it's a really wonderful time to be on planet Earth, I think. There's a lot going on, but is also in your own evolution, you have to learn yourself what you are going to pull away from, what you are going to say no to, what you are going to say yes to, what you are going to say, I'll have more of that, or what you're going to say, I will have less of that. You're also going to say, I don't tolerate that anymore. I find that behavior rude or whatever it might be. It's up to you. It always has been up to you, but we've been disempowered and made feel that our voices, our singular voices, are nothing. When in truth, that's absolutely a lie. Because whose voice is in your head? Just you. So if they silence just the one voice, just your voice, and make you feel that your voice is not worthy and not valid and you've got nothing to say, then you can start to understand how what happens is you're the only one thinking you. So if you start feeling that way, if somebody else can belittle you, then what happens is you then take over when they stop talking and you continue to belittle yourself. I remember doing this, being dramas when you're younger and, those people move away. You might hang out with bad friends or whatever. And they go away, but you continue the behaviour yourself. And it's how we are. So if someone is able to tell you that what your voice doesn't count, your ideas don't count, that your creativity isn't of any value, and that what you have to give is not needed or wanted, then basically they've been able to suck your bit of life out and you'll just be like this. And, a lot of us feel that day to day too. I know a lot of other people that are literally like robots, and that's it. They just plug along. So don't let people take your voice. As soon as someone's trying to tell you no about that, then you need to hear you. You need to hear your voice. You need to know that you are fantastic and that, yes, your creativity counts. Yes, the love you have counts. Yes, your uniqueness counts. You might not do something like everybody else. Hey, that's fantastic. Because there's always other people doing that other way. You're doing it this way. So hang on to that. Hang on to the sovereignty. Great word. I'm not even going to try to use it now. But don't let people steal from you. Don't let them come into your head and steal those things. Find the things that help ground you. What is it that you need to hear? What are the things when life's getting a bit chaotic and what brings you back down to somewhere pleasant? You know what? Because there's going to be crap going on and you're going to live your life and stuff's going to be good, some's going to be bad. You're still going to be you in your head. It's still going to be you listening to you. So depending what you listen to, what junk or rubbish you allow in or what greatness you allow in. Because sometimes sitting there mindlessly watching television, it's just imagine you are sitting there willingly brainwashing yourself. Believe me or don't believe me is irrelevant. Next time you're sitting there and through 1 hour show, you see the same commercial 4 times. This is why I can't watch mainstream television. It drives me insane. Do you really need to see the same ad 4 times in an hour? Do they really think you're that intelligent if that's the way they're treating you? And really, the more we sit there, the more we dumb down. It beats out the creativity and puts in this humdrum sludge. Anyway, I'm sure most people understand what I'm talking about. But I think on this planet, what makes it rich is when people stand up and say, you know what, I just like who I am. I don't care if I'm physically look one way, or if I sound one way, or if I do something a bit different, or I laugh at things that are a bit unusual, or I find interest in things that maybe don't interest everybody. So be it. I'm unique, and I've just gotten to that point in my life where I'm just not going to feel bad or anything other than just feeling myself for anybody. It's never, ever in my 55 years, it has never served me well to betray myself and start running after somebody else's beliefs. It never turned out well, ever, ever. The times that were magnificent, the times that the magic happened, the times that I really enjoyed the thing that happened or being myself was when I was true to me. You can still like other people and live on the planet and all of that sort of thing, but you've really got to put your foot down. And just who you are is so fantastic. And the sooner you just start getting off this idea of who you should be, take off the illusion glasses of who you should be, take away the righteous beliefs. Oh, I should be doing this. I should be doing that. Oh, I'm going to do this because I went through school to learn that, so I have to do this because my mum wants me to do it, or the church wants me to do it, or it's the right thing to do. Please, righteous beliefs are rubbish, absolutely rubbish. And the more you look into it, you'll realise that's exactly how it is. The guy that wore the bomb that went and blew up somewhere, like the jihad, whatever thing is, that was a righteous belief. He very rightly felt he was doing the right thing. There's plenty of people doing horrendous stuff under the banner of righteous belief. So if you can get rid of that too, because that's BS, and it's not anything to do with you. It'll never be concurrent and moving with you. So be true to yourself. Live your life where you're breathing. And if you think you're kooky or a bit maluki, isn't that great? You should get a T-shirt that says, I'm kooky maluki. I think it's wonderful. So 32 minutes later, and I was really worried I couldn't even talk for a minute today. So thank you again for being in here today. It's been really lovely chatting again. And again, I don't do Wednesday lives anymore. I do Monday and Friday lives at about 2 p.m. Bit later today because we had a guy on the roof banging around putting a new exhaust fan in. So it was a bit later. And all my videos, my live videos, I send across to my YouTube channel, which is in the description below. If you like them, please share them. And if you go to my YouTube channel, you can subscribe. That would be cool. Anyway, thanks again. It's a wonderful Monday. I hope you have a great week ahead, everybody. Take care. Be yourself. Notice what's happening when something drives you nuts. Stop. Breathe. You're in the moment. You can fix anything. You have the answer to everything, but it's always, you'll only ever find it in the moment. It won't be anywhere else. Anyway, thanks for that. Take care, everybody. Be well. Au revoir.